Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Okay, this week we're launching it. Yes, we are launching it. What are we launching, you say? All right, it's going to take a while, but I am going to do video thoughts each day that basically take a book of the Bible, we'll go in order, and give you that book in 4 minutes. Now, I'll do this for this week. Then next week, I'll take a week off and we'll do something else, but then I'll come back to it. So it's going to be an on again, off again thing, but let's get started. First book of the Bible, Genesis. It is a word that means beginnings. Comes from actually the Greek word that means beginnings. The birthing process. Genesis is a book of beginnings. It's the first book in what the Jews would call the Torah, which are 5 books that are attributed to the story of Moses. And it serves as the prequel to the other 4 books. Moses doesn't appear in Genesis. But if you know anything about Genesis, you want it to be the book of beginnings. Very first verse, in the beginning. The Hebrew word, Bareshit, in the beginning, or at the head is literally what the Hebrew word means. But at the very beginning, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. So it's a book of origins. And in the book of Genesis, you not only get the origin of God, you get not origin of God, but the origin of God that proceeded from God, of Adam and Eve, of the relationship that humanity was called to be in with God, an intimate fellowship. You get the origin of sin. In the Garden of Eden, sin comes in and destroys the fellowship between humanity and God. It takes humanity and turns them from being an image bearer of God into a sinful image bearer of God. And so you have the origin of humanity, you have the origin of sin, you have the origin of that disruption in our relationship with God where we feel like we're made for more in this world. Then you have the outgrowth of that disruption of our relationship with God, where you see the sin as Cain slays Abel, as the world grows notoriously worse and worse until God wipes it clean with a flood, saving only Noah and his family who are righteous. But from Noah, you have an outgrowth still of people with lots of problems. You have the story of the Tower of Babel. And finally, in the midst of all of these problems, you have God calling Abram out from an area of idolatry. And you have the Genesis, or the beginning, of what are now Jews, but at the time we would call Hebrews or Israelites. And it's Abraham who is given the promised land, and it's his offspring. So you have what are called the patriarchs. They're the fathers of the Jewish faith. You have Abraham, you have Isaac, you have Jacob. You have the 12 tribes of Jacob, or Israel as his name is changed. So you have the genesis of the name Israel in the book of Genesis. And the book of Genesis ends with the people of God, offspring of Abraham, being in Egypt. And you have the story of how they got to Egypt. So all of these beginnings. Now, where do we leave with this, and why do I talk to you about this? Because God should be in the beginning of everything in your life. Don't eat a meal without it starting by thanking God. Don't go to sleep without starting by thanking God. Don't start your day without thanking God. Let God be in the beginning of all of your life, all of your freshness, because he is the original beginning for humanity. That's why I've made this your video thought for today. Hope you'll come back tomorrow. We'll do Exodus in 4 minutes.